Let's give this GPA sample or example another shot. It says this student took biology, got an A, which was 4 units, statistics a B, which was 3 units, business a C, which was 3 units, psychology an F, which was 2 units, and CAD a B, which was 2 units. So they want to know what was this student's GPA. Now I do want to notice there are different GPA systems. You could have a plus and a minus system. We do not, so we just have straight up A's are worth 4, B's are worth 3, C's are worth 2, D's are worth 1, F's are worth 0. So again, the first thing we want to do is think about the point value for each one of these grades. A's are worth 4, B is 3, C would be a 2, an F would be a 0, and a B would be a 3. I'm going to take each of those point values and multiply it times the number of credits. So the point value of the grade times the number of the credits. So biology would have given me 16, statistics would have given me 9, business would have added 6, psychology would have added 0, and CAD would have added 6. What do I do now? I add all those weights together. So 16 plus 9 is 25, 25 plus 6 is 31, 31 plus 6 should be, I believe, 37. Please double check my math on this. Once I have 37, I want to divide that by the total number of credits. Let's see, how many credits was the student taking? 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. I believe it's 14 credits. So I'm going to do, to calculate my GPA, the total weighted sum was 37. The total number of credits was 14. See what you get on this problem. Looks to me like I'm getting, it says round to the nearest hundredth. I'm getting a GPA of 2.64. 2.64 is what it looks like I got. So it says data have not been organized or manipulated in any manner are called raw data. A large collection of raw data may not provide much readily observable information. A frequency distribution, which we saw in the previous section, which is a table that lists observed events and frequencies of occurrences of each observed event, is often used to organize raw data. For instance, consider the following table, which lists the number of laptop computers owned by families in each of 40 homes in a subdivision. So they went through a subdivision, they asked them, how many laptops do you own? And these were the responses. We see a whole bunch of numbers. I see numbers all the way from 0, looks like up to 7 is the highest number that I saw, just briefly looking at it. But that's a bunch of raw data. We haven't messed with it at all. So it says the frequency distribution in the next table was constructed using the data from this table. The first column of the frequency distribution consists of the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's how many laptops do they have. And the corresponding frequency of the occurrence, they use the letter F for frequency, of each of the numbers is in the first column, is listed in the second column. So for instance, you see highlighted in blue a 2 in the first column and a 14 in the second. So that means 14 people own 2 computers. So why are frequency distributions important? One thing I do want you to notice about the frequency distribution, you definitely want the total down there. That's going to help you out later on. But for instance, this 214, this frequency right here, this is the highest because that is the highest frequency. We know that 2 is the mode. So frequency distributions almost immediately give me the mode of a data set. Just look at what's the highest number in the frequency and then use the data value. In this case, 2 is the data value, whereas 14 is the frequency. 2 is the mode. So again, one of the biggest errors is using the frequency as the mode. A lot of people here would say 14 is the mode. That is not true. 14 is the frequency. The mode is the number 2. Okay? So these frequency distributions help us figure out the mode very quickly, help us organize the data. So the question becomes, what do we do to find the mean and the median of this data set? Be very, very difficult to find the mean and the median of this data set. Well, here's the good news. I'm allowing you a TI-30XS calculator for your test, and when you do this test, you can purely do this problem in the calculator. It's going to save you a lot of time. So how are you going to put it in the calculator? Well, if you remember putting it into the calculator, the first button that you wanted to hit was the data button. You wanted to make sure that those data lists were clear. when you did the data. Okay, so you hit the data button. If you see any numbers in the list, you hit the data button twice, and then you hit enter for clear list 1, or go down and hit enter to clear list 2. Anytime you want to put a frequency distribution, once you cleared out those lists, you want to put the actual value in L1, and you want to put the frequency in L2. So for instance, on this data set, I would hit, on the calculator, I'd hit data, and I'd type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into list 1. Then I'd hit the right arrow going over to list 2. I'd type in 5, 12, 14, 3, 2, 3, 0, 1, and hit enter. So I'm going to make sure my frequency distribution is in the data set in my calculator. Then I do the exact same thing that I did before. I hit second data for stat. I hit enter for one variable statistics. And on the one variable, so once again, so you hit data, you enter the data in L1. I'm going to write this all down for you. Enter the data in L1. Enter frequency in L2. Then you hit second data, and you do the one variable stats. One var stats. Okay, after you've done the one variable stats, when you do that, you want to say the data is in list 1, but now for frequency, it says FRQ, you want to put L2 on that one. Hit L2 on that one, okay? So you have data is L1. For frequency, instead of the word 1, O-N-E, you want to select L2, and then you go down to calc. Once you calculate this, again, you're going to have N is going to be the total number. You should have a 40. You should have your X bar will give you your mean. And then if you scroll down to MED, that'll give you your median. So when we look at frequency distributions, the mode is given by the highest frequency. Type the frequency distribution into your calculator, and you'll easily be able to find the median and the mean as well.